So background that's going to show up early on in this is that the practices that we have been pursuing, this kind of extractive set of practices that have done us a lot of good to move from the agricultural to the industrial to this digital era, is now hitting a wall. That's that red line that basically we are now confronted with nature saying, thank you very much, no more. And so the question is, are we transitioning into this yellow, entirely new way of organizing ourselves? And so that will be kind of the background, and we'll go into a little bit of depth.
And part of what, if you go back to that for just a minute, like part of it has been, what is leadership when you're moving across eras? There's a certain kind of leadership when you're a startup and you're just needing to survive and it's going down and you need to turn it around and go up that curve. Or what's leadership when you're in the middle of the curve or when you're reaching the top? And what is leadership for moving across? So that's what we've worked at in many of our careers, is what happens when you're in two eras at once and you're leading people who are in the current world as it exists, who need to work together in order to build this into this new world, when it's not the world they're living in, but it's the world they're beginning to build. And what are all the ways that you build a new era?
So we have another 6 weeks or so to pull all this together, but I sort of initiated a few thoughts.
I think it's really good. Yeah.
So
Do you want to put it on the?
well, I want to have the capacity. So this idea about the sort of something around the fact that we are stuck in this machine currently that really keeps the system going, that as we look at it is based on this, right? So we are currently living in a world where everything we do puts out something, right? And it puts it out at a rate where, predictably, we're going to build a New York City every month for the next 40 years. Just imagine the amount of stuff that's put in the atmosphere. We're spewing 162 million tons of man-made stuff into this, just quickly to give people a sense of what are we currently doing, and the fact that our way of life right now maintains that, no matter all the good conversations we're having. The energy trapped by man-made global warming pollution is about 600,000 first generation atomic bombs every day for 365 days a year, right? So then there's a little bit of a blow there, you can see, et cetera. And said we're going to go into a bit of, so we want to give a bit of a background to have a common language that says, this is what we're currently seeing. This is what's happening. This is what the reality is. 40% of what we're putting into the atmosphere is absorbed. The other 60% remain in the atmosphere. We know what that has done, right? It has gotten us out of hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years actually, of having an atmosphere between 170 parts per million and 300, where we're now at close to 420 parts per million with no end in sight, right? So we just want to give a little bit of background, and then with a nod to a few of the fundamental statistics. Again, we have 6 weeks to pull all that together. I just slapped quickly a few of these fundamental realities together so people can really get a sense. I mean, this is a really interesting one. This is 2020 years of history of our temperatures. Look at that. I mean, that's how it's, the blue stuff is all these 2,000 years since the beginning of the modern, of the last 2,000 years, and what has happened in just the last 250 years and where we are now. It's pretty stunning, and the way that's experienced, of course, is with these kind of statistics. So we'll kind of create an orientation that says this thing is happening, it's measurable, the science is there, and this is really then the big problem that we're facing is we only have a 5% chance to stay below 2%, 2 degrees. We have a somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% chance to stay somewhere between 2 and 5 degrees, and a 5% chance to get above that. What's really interesting about that is everybody talks about we're on a trajectory to 3 degrees. Has anyone yet seen a scenario of what the world actually looks like at plus 3 degrees? Has anybody had any kind of orientation to what are we actually facing? We talk about this mysterious and mythic 3 degrees now, right? That's where we're heading.
I'd just like to open, Herman, I'd just like to open that up. Do we all agree that if we do go over 3 degrees, what will happen? Does anybody have anything to say as, well, is this what the science is saying? Does everyone agree with that?